Iodide, iodine, and chromium. Iodide is found in an ion when it's in a food form. In the US, salt can be purchased as iodized or plain. The only real function of iodide is that it's required for thyroid hormone synthesis. In foods, iodine is mostly found as iodide, and in bread dough it is often called iodate. The benefit of potassium iodide is it's less expensive, it's more soluble, it has a higher iodine content, and for potassium iodide it's more stable. Iodine becomes trapped in the bloodstream to support the thyroid hormone. These hormones help regulate metabolic rate and promote growth and develop throughout the body, and that includes the brain. Symptoms that occur when your body needs more iodine foods include goiter, fatigue, depression, weight gain, and weakness. Goiter is an enlargement of the thyroid gland, causes our insufficient intake of iodide. Back in World War I, men from areas of the Great Lake regions had a higher chance of developing goiter than any other men from other places around the country, and that was because the soils in these areas had low iodine levels. Women who are pregnant and have low iodide amounts during the first month of pregnancy, the fetus will also suffer iodide deficiency because the mother uses the iodide that is available, and if this happens, the baby will be born with short length and mental retardation. Cretinism is a stunting of the body growth and poor mental development that can occur with insufficient amount of iodide during pregnancy. It still occurs in Europe, Africa, Latin America, and Asia. Some sources of iodide foods are saltwater fish, seafoods, iodized salt, dairy products, and grain products. Like many things, too much iodide is very bad for you. You start noticing the same symptoms as iodide deficiency, goiter. It could cause you to get thyroid gland inflammation and thyroid cancer. If you take too much grams of it, it could cause nausea, stomach pain, vomiting, diarrhea, and even coma. Hyperthyroidism occurs when the thyroid starts to make too much hormones. Once that happens, your body starts to speed up a little bit. You may notice that you lose weight quickly, you sweat a lot, or you feel nervous or moody. Sometimes you don't know what happens because you show no symptoms at all. But what exactly is a thyroid? A thyroid is a gland that sits in front of your neck. It also controls your metabolism. Metabolism is what the body turns food into energy. It also affects your heart, muscles, and even cholesterol. Some medications to treat hyperthyroidism include beta blockers, radioactive iodine, and antithyroid medication. It also varies on the age, and some people will need more than one kind of treatment to cure this. Hypothyroidism occurs when the thyroid doesn't make enough hormones, which makes the body act funky and it affects the whole body. What are symptoms for hypothyroidism? Well, you start to get tired, depressed, weak. You start to not be able to stand the cold. You have memory problems. You get constipated, and you could have heavy or irregular menstrual cycles. Acute toxicity results in pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, gastrointestinal irritation. Even though iodine toxicity is rare, the symptoms that occur is thyroid enlargement and hypo or hyperthyroidism. The World Health Organization says that iodine deficiency is the easiest preventable cause of brain damage. Before we talk about chromium, let's first talk a little bit about minerals. Minerals are essential for the body, yet the body cannot make it themselves. Some people like to call these elements instead of minerals, but in nutrition they are called minerals. There are three types of categories for minerals. Chromium is a trace mineral, and a trace mineral is usually found in really small amounts of levels in our bodies. The function of chromium is to maintenance the glucose uptaken into cells. Pretty much what chromium does is it's the breakdown of insulin. Chromium is eaten in small amounts, therefore we don't have to worry about there being a toxic level, but chromium deficiency can occur. Some symptoms would be high blood pressure, high cholesterol and triglyceride levels, which could increase the risk of a heart attack, leads to blood sugar levels that later in life could result in type 2 diabetes. As we get older, our chromium levels do go down quite a bit. Also, people who eat highly refined diets and who eat refined grains instead of those who choose whole grains do tend to have a higher risk of getting chromium deficiency. So what affects the levels of chromium? Some of them could be diets of high simple sugars, which will make an increase of chromium excretion in the urine, infection, and stress. Some sources of chromium are egg yolks, beer, organ meats or other kinds of meats, whole grains, and nuts. Broccoli is very high in chromium. Corn, sweet potatoes, grass-fed beef, shellfish, shrimp, cinnamon, ginger, cumin, onions, garlics, and other spices are very good sources. The adequate intake for chromium is 25 to 35 micrograms per day. The average Americans consume about 30 micrograms per day. It could also be a little bit higher. Toxicity has been reported with those who have been exposed to a high amount of chromium. That would include people who've worked in the industrial waste and painters who have used art supplies that have a high amount of chromium. Liver damage and lung cancer can result from this. Studies have shown that chromium supplements could help those with type 2 diabetes and who have insulin resistance. It's also proven to help better people who have chromium deficiency, which only happens when they have a poor nutrition. It has also helped with polycystic ovary syndrome, and it helps with muscle and trigger weight loss. Now let's review a little bit. Iodine's main function is to help with thyroid hormone synthesis. The hormones help regulate metabolic rate and promote growth and development throughout the body, including the brain. Iodine can be found in dried seaweed, iodized salt, baked potatoes, shrimps, fish sticks, turkey breast, beans, and eggs. An enlargement of the thyroid gland is called a goiter. It is often caused by insufficient iodine in the diet. Cretinism is the stunted growth and mental retardation that can occur when the pregnant woman lacks iodine in the diet during pregnancy. The main function of chromium is to aid insulin function, and chromium in the body is only needed in small amounts. Chromium is found in sweet potatoes, apples, broccoli, tomatoes, organ meats, other kinds of meats, mushroom, nuts, and beer. To keep a high level of chromium in our diets, we should be choosing whole grains instead of refined grains.